Hello, we are in Tammy's kitchen today, and Tammy's going to show us how to make cheese from whole milk. And this is great to go along with the 3rd grade curriculum on farming. And so today we're going to make cheese curds, right? And then also some mozzarella cheese, and then we'll also make some butter in a little bit. The great thing about this is, especially for those of you who like to do organic stuff, is that you can really maximize your spending, because an organic pound of cheese costs probably between $5 and $7 usually, and we got some organic whole milk just from our grocery store, and it was $3.69. So you know, for a half a gallon, and that's how much it costs to, or how much you need to make the whole pound of cheese.
Tell us,
what do we do?
Well, the first thing you do is you just pour your milk into the pot, and you want to heat it till it's almost boiling. You don't want it to boil. You don't actually want it to boil, but you want to catch it right when it starts to get kind of bubbly.
Okay.
And you want to stir it the whole time because you don't want to scald it.
Right.
Actually, you're going to be surprised how easy this is to make.
So the whole half gallon there makes about a pound of cheese.
Yeah, about a pound.
About a pound? Okay. And we're going to make curds first, right?
Yeah.
Yummy.
And it's basically the same technique until, for the first part for both.
Okay.
So, all we're going to do is just stir it for a while. And it'll take, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes
To get to
until
that.
it gets, yeah, because you don't want it to start boiling, but it'll get all those funny little bubbles.
Okay.
So, and you just need to stir it and don't let it.
And don't walk. So this is a
Yeah,
don't walk away from it.
Yeah.
Don't walk away from your 3rd grader kind of project.
Unless your 3rd grader really understands that she better keep stirring the whole time. We're getting pretty close, and the reason you can tell is there's steam coming up, and we're starting to get those little bubbles.
Bubbles around the edges.
On the edge. And this is where you kind of want to watch it, because you want to catch it. You don't want it to actually start boiling.
Right. Okay.
But you want to be pretty close. You can see all those little bubbles.
Right.
It's a little close. Now this one actually is fairly soft, and depending on how much of the whey you squeeze out, if you, which we'll work on in a minute, but you can either leave it as curds or really squeeze out all of the whey, and it will form a ball, which you have to cut with a
Right. So now you went from high down to kind of a medium heat, and now you turned it up a little bit to about a medium high.
It's like trying to boil, but it's not getting there.
Okay.
So.
And usually you can can you feel it on the bottom of the pan with your spoon? Like sometimes before, like you can feel
little
the,
bit. A little bit,
so you're not, you know whether or not it's starting to try to bubble.
Yeah. Well, and we've done it so many times now that I can tell with these little bubbles around the edge that it's real
That
close.
it's getting to that close place.
And you know what? If it starts to boil, it's okay. Just pull it off.
Okay.
Because we've done it.
Because it's the vinegar that starts the curdling
Yeah,
process,
it's the
right?
vinegar.
Yeah, and we've just got regular distilled white vinegar.
Okay, it's getting close because there's lots of little bubbles on the top. They've
Okay,
gone
so it's
from
kind
just
of
the
frothy on the edges a little
Yeah,
bit.
frothy on the edges, and just sort of there's some bubbles there, so I'm just going to pull it off.
Okay.
And then give it another good stir.
So you want to get really
For
close,
a
right?
minute.
And then how much vinegar?
Okay, for a half a gallon of milk, you want to put in between about 1/4 of a cup and 1/3 of a cup.
Okay.
So I always put in 1/4 and then just add a little splash more.
Okay. And it should curdle immediately.
It's going to
right?
curdle immediately. It's so cool. Well, within, 10
I hope
or
we can
15
get
seconds.
it on the camera.
Okay, there's our 1/4. And then I always like to just put a little bit
A
more.
little bit more. Okay, so like 1/4
Okay.
and an 1/8 it looks like.
Yeah, whatever looks good. Okay,
Oh
see
yeah,
how
you
it's
can
starting
start to
curdle?
see it curdle up.
So
Yep.
it's curdling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is going to curdle for, you want to let it sit. See how it's really curdling
Yeah,
now?
I can totally see it.
Isn't that cool?
It is way cool how fast that happens.
Okay, so you can see your curds and your whey already. However, you want to wait just, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes.
So you just kind of let it sit there.
Yep, you just let it
and
sit
kind
there.
of do
so
its
we're
thing.
going to just let it do its thing.
We're going to
for a
do
little
its
bit.
thing, and we'll come back when it's time. Let's check on what our cheese is doing.
Yep, it should be about done. Okay, see how it's really curdled? It looks really funny.
It looks really gross.
It looks really gross. It really does, but it's gonna be okay.
it calls for cheesecloth in your recipe, right? But we just bought, these are flour sack towels, and they're really inexpensive. We got this one at the craft store for $2, and it's just big. They're great to embroider on, but because they have such a loose weave,
Yeah.
they're perfect for this project. So
I just, get that out of the way, put it in here.
okay, so you put the towel over the pan.
Yep. And I just try to center, the center right in the middle.
Okay.
You don't have to be perfect or anything like that.
And you dump the pan over,
Put
huh?
it in there. And what we're doing here is catching the curds and getting rid of the whey, catching the whey. Whoa,
No.
a little bit.
The floor caught some too.
That's alright, it'll mop. Okay, so
Should we set that back on? Oh,
yeah,
there we go.
that'd be great. It's gonna look kind of like a cottage cheese,
Oh yeah.
ricotta,
Mm-hmm.
and all the whey is hopefully draining down in
I
there.
hear it.
Woo! And if you're gonna make a cheese ball, which we're gonna do in a minute, you really want to shake out as much whey as you can. See how it's starting to form?
Mm-hmm.
If you shake out the whey and get a lot of whey out, it will form a ball.
Mm-hmm. But we're doing curds this time,
Right.
so
But we're still trying to shake out all.
so
as
you
much as we
would
can.
still shake out as much whey as you could,
Yeah.
because curds are fairly dry.
Right. So if you were going to leave this in curds, you'd probably want to let it sit for, oh, I don't know. I wouldn't tie it up in a ball. I'd just leave it like
For
this.
curds?
Yeah, and let it sit for, I don't know, half hour maybe?
Just over the top of the...
Yeah. But what you'll want to do is take your whey and, here, I'm going to let you hold this for a minute. And you'll want to drain, if you want to keep your whey,
Now talk about why I would want to do that.
well, first of all, drain it and get it out of the way.
Get the whey out of the way.
Out of the way. There, and then, see it's still draining, and we'll just, what we're going to do, and we're only going to do this for about 10 minutes. Let's get this hanging and then I'll take it out of the way. At this point, if this is your curds, we're going to want to season them.
Okay.
And
So here we've got
yeah.
this tomato basil seasoning, and we're gonna put some garlic salt in it too. So how much
So
do you
put
think?
how much? I've never.
You've never done this for before. All right.
We're gonna try it, so you know.
All right. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't know. That was maybe a tablespoon.
That looks good.
And I'm gonna put. I really like garlic. It's a crazy Italian in me. So we're gonna put some garlic salt in here too. Maybe not even a teaspoon of garlic salt.
We've talked about seasoning it a lot.
Yeah.
But we've just never actually gone ahead and done it yet. I would imagine you can use almost any spice.
Well, yeah, we've bought, when we buy them at the co-op, they've had ranch flavored ones, they've had a tomato basil, they've had garlic and herb. So, you know, any herb combination that, you know, fresh herbs or whatever that you have. So here, it still looks like cottage cheese, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna...
We still need to keep it draining because there's
still a lot of whey.
in there. So what we're gonna do is, this is where I have the girls help me.
Okay, so you tell me what to do.
Okay, we're just gonna, I don't really want this to form into a ball, so we're not gonna leave it very long. But we have to roll it down far enough that at least it's not hanging in the way that it's draining
Right.
from. And then put that through.
Like that,
And
all
then
right.
just tie it.
That makes it nice to have this big towel, because then you can
definitely.
totally tie it.
So, you can totally tie it if you're strong.
There you go.
Okay.
So then you just kind of leave it to hang.
We'll just leave it for, I don't know, a few minutes while we make some
While
more.
we make the
We'll
other.
make some more.
So tell me why you would keep the whey.
Okay, the whey. This is great for if you're going to make any kind of soup.
Because there's quite a bit of whey here. What is that? 5 cups, it looks like?
5 cups. Like if you make chicken soup,
Okay.
that calls for 4 cups of broth.
Broth.
You could probably put 2 to 3 cups in of this, and then the rest your
Make
broth.
less broth.
Because it actually is really good flavoring. Now if it calls for broth or water and bouillon, you could substitute a lot of the water, most of the water, but you'd want to keep the bouillon.
Okay.
So, and you'd want to have some broth. You wouldn't want to completely substitute broth for this because you'd want some of the flavoring from the broth.
And you were saying too, like when you've made homemade macaroni and cheese, you boil the macaroni in
you
this?
can boil macaroni in this for macaroni
wow.
and cheese. You can, I mean, you can do a lot of recipes, and if it calls for, you know, a cup of water, you could put in a 1/4 cup of this, and this will keep in the fridge for like a week.
So now we did another batch, and this one is just going to be mozzarella cheese. We had some curd that we made here, and we're gonna kind of let that drain a little bit more. But we're taking this ball here and just tying it around a spoon,
Okay.
so that we can then put it over like the pot here.
The first one you get, before you want to put it over the pot for the last time, you want to really shape it into a
really
good
well.
ball. And the other thing that we did different with this than the curds is we really drained this.
Right, we squeezed it and really got it draining well. So, and then you just let it drain for
the curds, I would say let it
You mean
drain
for
at
the-
least an hour, and for the ball at least 2 hours.
at least 2 hours.
And it seems.
And you put it in the fridge to while it's draining?
Well, I've always just let it drain on the counter for a while
Okay.
and then stuck it in the fridge. But it seems like the combination of the air, the cold from the fridge when you put it in, and draining it really, really well is what keeps that into a nice ball.
A nice
later.
ball.
Yeah.
So you would say after it's been in the fridge for a couple hours, then you can slice it.
Oh, you know, we made it on a Saturday the first time, and we did it maybe 2 o'clock, and by 7 o'clock that night we were slicing it.
You were slicing it. Very good. Very cool. Awesome. Very good. Thank you so much for showing us your kitchen and making butter and cheese with us today.